The Brothers Karamazov, Book 5, Chapter 7. In the previous chapter, Ivan and Smerdyakov have had a conversation that has operated on one level of disdain, and the narrator has given us a second level of the conversation in which we not only hear Ivan's words, but this level we get what he's really thinking about Smerdyakov. That sort of line of us being able to peer into Ivan's psyche is carried over into this final chapter of Book 5, in which, after that conversation, Ivan goes in the house, says something curtly, shortly to his father, goes upstairs, and shuts the door. And as he's laying there, he is not happy with himself. He's not happy with who he is and being a thinker or possibly an overthinker. He's sort of breaking this down in his head, and he even hates Alyosha. Seems like he hates himself, and he has so much inner turmoil and angsty kind of stuff that he remembers that he's forgotten all about what's just happened with Katerina and that sort of rejection that he's experienced at her hands. And so really, if you go down the list, he really loathes and hates his father. He really extra loathes and hates Smerdyakov, and I think Smerdyakov is sort of trying to play Ivan for the fool here. He even hates his brother, his dear brother Alyosha, for reasons unknown, possibly. And he is sort of so self-absorbed at this point that he hasn't had time to even really hate Katerina. But all he knows is he doesn't feel good about himself. He doesn't feel warm and cozy and confident with who he is. He feels conflicted and unable to sleep. Well, we've all had sleepless nights, and there's always this, not always, but often this mix of internal and external distractions. Not only is this stuff raging inside him, but there's someone downstairs pacing. And so when you feel emotionally like pacing around, but then someone underneath you is literally pacing around on the creaky wooden floor with no doubt heavy boots, it's irritating. And now, on top of Fyodor in his lust, pacing around hoping for Grushenka, not only that, but Smerdyakov has provided mental ammunition, and now Ivan is thinking if he's going to hear knocks, and if he hears knocks, what's going to happen? And so Ivan gets up from his sleepless bed, and he opens his door, and he walks to the top of the stairs, and he's listening for knocks. And the narrator tells us, foreshadowing, that Ivan is going to look back on this night in him standing at the top of the staircase, and he's going to take great shame, guilt and shame at this kind of scoundrel behavior. And so what could that possibly mean? That the narrator foreshadows that one day Ivan will look on this night in him standing at the top of the stairs as evidence that he is a bad person. And I think that the only thing that could mean is that Ivan, when it comes down to it, if Dmitri had broken in, if Grushenka had been caught with Fyodor and Dmitri had broken in, or if Smerdyakov was going to try something with Fyodor, that Ivan would have stayed upstairs and not intervened. That is one possible thing that our narrator could mean, is that Ivan knew that it just happened that nothing happened to his father that night. It wasn't any credit to him. If something were going to happen to his father that night, he probably wouldn't have intervened, is one possible thing that comment there could make. The reason I think that is because the next morning he's in the carriage, and he's saying, Ivan, he is in the carriage, and he's saying, goodbye old world, goodbye old people, goodbye Alyosha, goodbye Katerina, goodbye to all that. I'm not going to be the young man who says, I regret this, I should have done this, I would have done this, I could have done this. No, I'm going to be the kind of person who forges ahead the future, and our narrator says that Ivan wants to go and blow away the phantom of Katerina and the phantom of Alyosha and just be done with all of the mess that is his family and Alyosha, causing him doubts about his lack of faith. But it seems like he can't do it. And he gets all the way to Moscow and decides that, you know what, with my intellectual rigor and my intellectual honesty, there's really only one conclusion. I, Ivan Fyodorovich Karamazov, I'm a scoundrel. Why? Because I know that I'm too smart. I know Smerdyakov is up to something. I know what Dmitri is capable of. And I know Fyodor. I know something's happening. And here I am, when it matters, when it's crunching time. Where am I? I'm off to Moscow. So all my theories and all my ideas are great. However, when it comes down to being helpful in a particular situation, I'm on a carriage to Moscow, completely out of the realm of possibility to help. Speaking of sleepless nights, this chapter in this book ends with another sleepless night, and that is Fyodor. You can almost picture him going like this. He's up at night. Why? Because he's a raging bull. He's like an animal pacing back and forth. If you watched a leopard or something getting fed at the zoo, they're just pacing back and forth because they know they're about to devour this meat, and in a really just gross, ugly way, we see Fyodor just pacing back and forth, waiting for Grushenka to come visit him. And so I think there's a little bit of parallel there. Ivan is up at night disturbed with his conscience, and Fyodor is up at night in this same chapter not disturbed and without a conscience.